Hi, Ben here, and we're down the field, and today what we're doing is basically having a little bit of a scout round. We had a big storm hit the UK. I think it was called Storm Darragh, and basically we're going to go round and just check the fence lines. We know that there's some branches come down. There's also been some big major trees like this field maple behind us, that's come down. So we've got to do a bit of tidying up. So it's a great opportunity to use some of these amazing tools that we've got. And also it means that I can actually gather some resources as well. So we've got usable timber and obviously some of the things that we couldn't actually reach when they were fully grown trees up in the air. So now that they're on the ground, we can actually get to those resources. So this big old field maple came down that's on the hedge line. So one half has gone into the neighbour's orchard next door, and then one big limb has come this side, which has got some amazing burrs on it. So obviously when we're talking about resources, this is going to be amazingly figured timber that will be great for bowls, for carving, but also I'm thinking maybe some knife handles as well. Some homegrown figured maple, which is going to be amazing. Now, like I say, even though these big trees, them actually coming down in a storm is kind of sad in one light, but the fact that this will probably regrow and reshoot from the base, it's basically like a rejuvenation. It's going to coppice, it's going to regrow, so it's going to be a continuous source really. So to respect the tree more than anything is to try and utilize as much of the timber as possible. So like I say, knife handles and bowls at this end, and then as we work further along the actual tree itself, there's going to be maybe some turning wood, and then there's going to be some spoon wood, and then finally at the tips you're going to have all that amazing kindling in a few years time. So yeah, we'll start processing it. And yeah, brought the old Katanaboy down here, which is going to be basically like, instead of carrying a chainsaw, this is the big folding saw that we've used for lots of different things around the homestead, and basically this is absolutely ideal for cutting through these big sections. So this bit here is absolutely prime for a little bit of spoon carving. So there's a little bit of a knot there, so I'll cut that off, and you can see how fine grain this maple is. Field maple is one of my favourites for carving, purely because it's got such fine, dense grain. It means when you do carve it, you can actually take it quite fine and quite thin, and it leaves plenty of strength. So this is a lovely bit of timber. So we've cut it to length, and then what we can do is we can use some more tools that we've brought with us, so we can actually start processing that material as we go really. So that'll be nice and clean. I've got my little mallet, so you could use an axe. I brought my parang down with me, so we can place that on through the pith and just give it a bit of a tap, and you'll be able to see the inside of what this bit of maple really does look like. I always think it's fantastic when you split a piece of timber like that, purely because it's like travelling in time. We can start to see 10, 15, 20 years back, sometimes where there's a bit of squirrel damage, or occasionally you might find a bit of lead pellet from a local farmer, or worst case scenario you might find a fencing staple where they've nailed a fence to the tree. But yeah, this will be beautiful for a bit of carving. So we've got a nice pile of kindling mounting up now, and then some slightly larger bits that will stack up in the woodshed. And even though it's kind of sad that this big tree's come down, cutting through some of these top branches, some of them have already died. A few of the big field maples around the edges seem to be getting this sort of like fungal attack in the bark, and the bark's dying and then the tips are actually breaking out of them. So even though it's sad that it's come down, I think it'll probably be a healthier outcome, that it'll still regrow from that base. So we're starting to work back into the crown a bit. So we've got some bigger sections off the fence now, and now I can start to get to some of those bits that I wanted to get to. So luckily now, as we're working back into the crown of the tree, which would normally be up in the air, we've come across our sort of resource that we need for this Christmas occasion really. So normally I'd have to get the step ladder out, but now the mistletoe's right to hand, ready for us to harvest really. So we'll see if we can take some of this. Now obviously if this was still on a growing tree, I would probably only take little bits off. So I'd only take a small section of that mistletoe and leave the big mass of it for the birds and for the wildlife, and obviously to regrow. But because this is basically going to die now, we can actually be pretty generous and we can take pretty much all of it. So obviously the mistletoe has got these great sticky berries on there, which obviously have got very strong pagan traditions, but obviously they look great this time of the year hanging up in the house. So we've got a few of the smaller bits of the maple and obviously the mistletoe, but we're going to bring the bigger bits up in the wheelbarrow later. But there's also some more resources that have come down. Last winter the squirrels went absolutely nuts on our silver birch, and they basically ring barked all of them. I think it had been a very wet winter and they'd lost all their sort of cache of food, and basically they've just died and obviously snapped out in that high winds. So bit of a shame, but absolutely fantastic kindling again. Also you can take all these side branches off with your knife or your parang or whatever, and you can collect these and bundle them up and make them into perfect little fire lighters, or traditionally you'd bundle them up and it would make your traditional bism brooms as well. But the thing that really excites me is when I was a kid we had no silver birch here, so I couldn't use this resource. I'd only find it when I was out in the woods, but this peeling birch bark makes the most fantastic tinder. So this will take a spark, it will take a flame, and because it's absolutely packed with natural oils, it just burns really, really intensely, even if the weather's bad, if it's windy or wet. So yeah, now I can peel all this bark off this tip of this birch without doing any harm to the tree, and I'm going to have my kindling for the winter. So I'm looking forward to turning this maple into some spoons when I get back to the workshop, and I'm interested to know what your favourite timbers are. Obviously I said I like maple, but do you like fruit woods? Do you like silver birch? It'd be nice to know what you're carving really. So yeah, hope you're enjoying the new content on the channel, us obviously testing out equipment, but also what we get up to around the workshop. And it's been really nice to share what we do with you guys. So hope you enjoy the channel. Remember to subscribe if you're not already subscribed to the channel, and hit that little bell for notifications.